Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, bro. Hope we're all doing well, yeah. Today's video is about momentum. So you all kind of know what momentum is. It's basically when you get something started, it eventually goes on by itself kind of easier than it was when getting started. I'll actually use this ball example now. So say we have a ball here and the ball wants to roll. I don't know why this ball has a will of its own, but this ball wants to roll. Now, to start the rolling is going to be more difficult than to keep the ball rolling when it is rolling. So say we have the ball and okay, now it's going to start rolling. And then as soon as it goes, it's easier to keep it rolling. And then eventually the ball has to stop. That's kind of how we are with our good habits. So to complete the analogy, when you start doing your good habits, the ball kind of starts rolling. You know how I mentioned at the start it's more difficult than to keep it rolling? It's more difficult to do that first task than to do the fifth or sixth task as soon as you get into the rhythm of it. So, to carry on with the analogy, as soon as you stop doing the good habits, or maybe you do a bad habit, the momentum will eventually slow down until it stops. And then you have to get the ball rolling again, and it's going to be hard. So, you can see how it becomes a problem when you kind of do a few good habits and the ball kind of is starting to roll, and then you stop it again by doing a bad habit or not doing the next good habit. It's not very productive, it's not very smart, it's not very just efficient. What we need to try to do is to keep this ball rolling as long as we can. So to summarize, the principle we've established is that when we complete things, it gives us the momentum to keep completing things. Now, this is why this very famous example of these army men and in the lectures and all that say, make your bed in the morning. This is to do with getting the ball rolling initially. Because the task is so easy to do, it leads on to the more kind of difficult task. It's kind of like I know I've used the ball analogy, but let's use a stair analogy now. That initial of making your bed in the morning is kind of like the first stepping stone to the large staircase that you need to climb. So taking this principle of momentum, there's actually two ways we can think of it. We can think about it at the micro scale or the macro scale. Kind of at the micro scale, it's that task by task momentum that you have throughout the day. So say at the start of the day, you go to the gym. Okay, fine. That's you starting your momentum. And then after that, you shower. And then after that, maybe you do some studying or something like that. And then after that, you maybe eat. And then after that, and so on and so on. But taking it at the macro level, say you had a full day of just doing all your good tasks and your momentum was really, really good. You're not gonna wanna soil that momentum the next day. So you're gonna wanna keep doing the good habits so you don't it's kinda like a streak. You know you have mobile games and you kinda log in every single day and they give you some rewards or something like that. It's kinda like that. But even with mobile games, as soon as you don't play the game for a day, the momentum breaks, the streak breaks, and you have to start over again. This is kind of what it's like at the micro scale and the macro scale. I'm talking about mobile games and all I can think of is Candy Crush now. We've established that you can completely stop your momentum by not doing a good task or doing a bad habit. But we haven't gone over let's go back to the ball analogy. So your ball is rolling. There's kind of like a hump in the road. And the ball needs to get over this hump to keep its momentum going. So if we liken this back to our day-to-day life, let's say you've been to the gym, you showered, you ate, all that type of stuff, and then you want to say you want to read Quran, but that's kind of like a high resistance task, which is the next video that I'm going to make. It's kind of like a high resistance task. So you kind of feel a bit undisciplined about it. You're making excuses in your mind and stuff like that. But then as soon as you get over that, it kind of gives you like a second wind to complete the rest of your day. This is why I recommend putting the hardest task first, which I'll get into in the practical tips section. Also, we've got to remember, you can't have infinite momentum. The ball will have to stop rolling eventually. There might be tomorrow, there might be literally after the first task that you do. It varies. But you gotta remember to keep moving forward. That's the only way you'll build momentum again. If you stop your momentum and you just stay there, you're never gonna build it up again. And momentum is a big part to improving yourself. The thing is with momentum is that as soon as you get the ball rolling, that's the most disciplined part of the whole kind of like stretch of the road. As soon as you get the ball rolling, that's your discipline done. You don't need it anymore, kind of. And then it's either just motivation or your will to not stop the momentum that you currently have. After a bit, it gets kind of fun to keep completing tasks and kind of ticking them off. Alright, practical tips section as always, so you can get some value out of the video. Going back to the army example and my talk of putting the easiest task first, that's exactly what we're going to do. We put the easiest task first in our day. For me, it's just literally, see that blanket there? That blanket there, I fold it every single day as soon as I wake up. That's kind of like my low resistance task right at the beginning of the day, just to get the momentum going. It's very, very important. As soon as you do the task, you need to carry the momentum throughout the day. So yeah, put the easiest task at the beginning of the day, and then what I recommend is putting the hardest task next. So say if it's kind of like a ramp, the hardest task at the top. This is like right at the start of the day, and then you have the next easiest task, and then you have the next easiest task, and then you have the next easiest task, all the way until you get to, like, I don't know, sleeping. That's kind of like easy, isn't it? So if you think about it in terms of a ramp, your ball is here, and it's going down the ramp. It's going to gather even more momentum if you just did it linearly. And then combining those two tips, so you put the easiest task and then you put the hardest task, it's kind of like a lip to the ramp. So say we already established the kind of slope down. It's kind of like a little lip over here, just to get up to the hardest task and then start doing the rest of the tasks. I'm kind of rinsing this ball analogy, but as long as it's getting the point across, it's fine. Okay, last tip. If you feel your momentum kind of slowing throughout the day, say you're getting tired, or say you've just been to the gym and your muscles are hurting, think back to your purpose. Everything to do with improving yourself goes back to your purpose. You already know our purpose is to please God and worship God. Now think to yourself, is making excuses to not do this next task that I have to do align with my purpose? And then I think there's literally no way you can't do the next task. Because the thing is with difficult tasks is that they're all relative. To me, going to the gym 6 times a week is kind of easy. But for someone else, it might be the most difficult thing in the world. It's all relative. So think to yourself, is this task really hard? Is this task actually difficult? Like logically difficult? And if you're still kind of coping, do another task that's not that task, but that's kind of easier. Say you clean your desk before studying. Now don't clean your desk for 5 hours and not study at all. But I'm just saying, do an easier task as a prelude to the harder task. Alright boys, that's all I got to say today. May Allah grant us success in this life and the next, and may He help you gather all the momentum you need. Safe boys, take care.
والتين والزيتون وطور سينين وهذا البلد الأمين لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم ثم رددناه أسفل سافلين إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم أجر غير ممنون فما يكذبك بعد بالدين أليس الله بأحكم الحاكمين